For more than a decade, award-winning journalist Michele Norris explored race relations in America by asking people to describe their experience in just 6 words. Yep, 6 words. She left these postcards asking this question: race your thoughts, 6 words, please send. Well, she dropped them off at restaurants, at coffee shops, and airports, and received more than 500,000 stories from around the world. You heard me right, 500,000. There were 6-word stories like this: I'm black before I'm anything else. My grandparents met in the KKK. I'm only Jewish when it's safe. I'm Asian, I pretend I'm white. And people fear what they don't understand. Norris writes about her experiences, her findings and responses in her new book. It's called Our Hidden Conversations: What Americans Really Think About Race and Identity. We're very proud to say that Michele Norris joins us first on CBS Mornings. It's very good to see you, Michele Norris, and always good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Welcome back. You know, you write, there were so many good ones. When I was reading, number one, the book is beautifully done. Let me start with that. But I loved when you said, one person said, white privileged and until Floyd clueless. Black boyfriend visited, Nana called police. That was actually one of my favorites because I could certainly visualize that. You say most people would much rather chew on their toenails than talk about race, which I also think is true. And you decided to do this why, and why 6 words? Because I thought that was hard.
Okay, so first, thank you for having me.
No, we're glad
I'm
you're
so
here.
glad to be here and be here first with all of you. I did this because I thought no one wanted to talk about race.
Yeah.
And it turns out I was wrong.
And you think we need to talk about it?
Well, I think we need to, and I actually think we want to. I mean, I wrote a book in 2010 about my family's very complex legacy, racial legacy. It's called The Grace of Silence. And when I was going out in the world to talk about that book, I thought no one would want to talk about race. So I created this exercise, this little 6-word exercise, to try to lubricate that conversation. I was working with Melissa Bear, who's here with me in New York, and we thought, what can we do? We can just use postcards. My parents worked for the Postal Service. I was supporting the post office.
Yeah.
And it was 6 words because it was easy. It was an easy ask. If I asked for a sentence, people would write a paragraph. If I asked for a paragraph, people would say, oh, that's too hard.
Yeah.
So 6 words was easy, and it would really distill people's thoughts. And I did it because I thought no one wanted to talk about race. And it turns out a lot of people actually do. They're just looking for a place where there's an easy
place to
on-ramp.
do it.
And what's the emotion you find? Do people feel a sense of relief? Do they feel fear? What emotions are bubbling behind that once you saw this flow?
Every single possible emotion. I mean, most of the, we love the postcards, we still get postcards, but most of the cards now come in digitally because we have a website, and most people submit there. And they submit backstories.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about doing it on the website is we started, not long into it, we added 2 words, anything else. And then it was like, oh, you want to know what I think? And then people would give us an essay, a few paragraphs, a treatise. They would write, and then that we sort of understood their backstory, and that's where we saw the emotion. So yes, it's fear, it's anxiety. Yeah. Sometimes it's triumph, sometimes it's humor. I love, someone wrote total non-issue when the aliens arrive. And that's a way of saying maybe we should get over it because we have more in common.
You write that people are desperate to discuss race through the prism of their personal experiences, which is so spot on, but explain that.
Well, if you look at the archive, I liken it to a tree ring, which tells a story of America in this period, bookended by the presidencies of Barack Obama and Donald Trump and then Joe Biden. It encompasses the pandemic, it encompasses George Floyd, it encompasses kids at the border. But you see some of that in the archive. People don't write about headlines. They write about their personal experiences.
What they've lived.
Talking about Tamir Rice or George Floyd, they're talking about their son. They're talking about their commute. If they're talking about a changing America, they're talking about their lunchroom that suddenly smells because there are all these new people and they bring food that smells differently in their lunchbox than I'm used to. They write about very, very
specific,
personal things rather than the headlines. They're spurred on by the headlines, but they actually write about their own lives.
You say them can be the most dangerous word in the English language. I like that. And you said racism is not the same today as it was yesterday. What do you mean?
Well, when I started this project, you remember the word post-racial? Yeah. Everyone was talking about America being post-racial. We're so we're so eager to get over it. And in doing this work, have become not a pessimist, but more pragmatic. I think some form of bias will probably always be with us.
Yes.
It has since the beginning, so why do we think it's going to go away? I think it's a little bit like COVID. it mutates, right? So the racism that your parents, my parents experienced in America is different. It will present in new ways. AI
Yes.
has introduced new forms of bias that we can't even think about. So instead of pretending it'll go away, maybe we need to think about how to confront it.
And a better America, you say, won't happen automatically.
We have to work for it.
Yeah.
Michele Norris, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank
Our
you.
Hidden Conversations is out today wherever you like to buy your books.